everyone, John Grimsmo here, bringing you another Knife Making Tuesday. So we're on the Handycam today, which has a broken tripod mount, so there's no tripod footage with this camera. But anyway, what I'm doing right now is, in the Tormach PCNC1100, I am profiling my knife blades. It's hard to see through the dirty glass. I should wash the windows. I wish I could turn the coolant off, but this is a job you do not do without coolant. Anyway, I think we can see the load meter over there. Nice light load on the spindle. So what we're doing is we're taking these sheets of 1/8 inch powdered stainless steel RWL 34 and we're cutting out, I don't think I have any, but this is the cut that it makes. Very nice cut. We're using a Lakeshore carbide. I think this one should do it. One-handed opening. Yeah. So this is a Lakeshore carbide fireplug endmill. This is one that Carl at Lakeshore Carbide developed specifically for being a beast. He is extremely proud of this endmill, and he should be, because it's awesome. It's not your typical rougher. Sometimes they call this a corncob rougher. Let's turn the vacuum off, and then we can keep talking. So the corncob rougher is pretty sweet because instead of making a bigger chip, it breaks it up into these tiny little curlicues. Which does several things. It helps break up the vibration, but it also helps keep the chip smaller to evacuate it better. And it just plain works. For this exact operation, that is the only end mill I've ever used that doesn't chatter like crazy. I don't know why, whether it's the vacuum setup or the machine or the tool holder or whatever, but something is not rigid enough to use any other end mill. But that fireplug end mill, holy crap, it's the only end mill I can use to do this job. Now it's certainly not a finishing end mill because you can see that it does leave a grainy texture to it. But that's fine. It's a roughing end mill. It's what it is. But it's excellent. It doesn't take a lot of horsepower, and it just plain works. The only thing you have to watch out for with the Tormach and doing a heavier cut, this is fine, but heavier than this, or if the end mill starts wearing out, is sometimes the tool will start pulling down a little bit out of the holder. Like if I release the drawbar, sometimes it'll just start dropping, just a little bit. So just gotta watch that. Keep the tension setting just right, so it's just tight enough for the tool changer. But sometimes if I'm doing an extremely heavy cut, I will manually take that one tool and tighten the drawbar down, and then after that there's a pause, and then I loosen the drawbar back to normal. Not a big deal. So yeah, cutting out my 1/8 inch blades, this saves me from having to get them waterjet cut. It's a bit of a catch-22 because it's not that time consuming, and it's relatively free because you're doing it yourself, and the end mills last for quite a while. The beauty about water jet cutting is that you get parts back that are ready to put on the machine. See, I have to make these in 2 separate operations. I have to drill all the holes in one operation, and then I have to clamp them down like we're doing over there, and then profile them out. Not a big deal, but waterjet just does that for you. And if you're willing to pay $4 to $10 per blade to have that done, then that's fine. And I kind of switch back and forth between waterjet and doing it myself. Now, since we're using the RWL34, it comes in very consistent sheets. They're all about 39 inches long. They're all 2 inches wide by 1/8 inch thick. They're very consistent. When you buy a lot of the American steels, the CPM or whatever, they come in larger sheet form, not this nice little 2-inch wide strip. Although I think you can get it in 2-inch wide. But the way they process this, I believe it's cold rolled, so it's got a nice smooth finish, and a lot of the American steels are random size. They can be anywhere from 1/38 to 1/65 or whatever. And I like using the RWL because it's just consistent, and it's a fantastic powdered steel. So yeah, huge mad props to the Lakeshore Carbide end mill. It's also a variable flute end mill, so let's see if we can see this here. If you paint in your head a vertical line and a horizontal line to match those flutes, you can see that they're not at 90 degrees to each other. They are tilted a little bit. So if the vertical one is straight up and down, you can see the side to side one is a little bit off axis. And what that does, by instead of making an X, it kind of makes a slanted. Anyway, that breaks up the vibration of the tool, because as I understand it, you know, as every flute's making a cut, it's going ba 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 ba. But if you break it up, it goes ba 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 ba, and that helps breaks up the vibration in the machine and in the cutter and everything, and it just doesn't chatter as much. I can't say I understand it completely, but that's what science tells me. That's what the cutting tool manufacturers do a lot. So variable flute is awesome. And then there's variable helix, which is another can of worms that I'm trying to understand as well. So I know a lot of guys running this end mill in manual milling machines as well, and it works fantastic. Like Paul Finn, he's got a I don't know what the mill is called. It's a manual milling machine, a little bit smaller than the Tormach. Looks like a pretty stout setup. And he's using that end mill and loves it for doing his blades and stuff. The one thing is that when it does start wearing down, you can tell that I like these end mills. These are all the ones I've broken or worn out. Let's see if we can zoom in on a worn out one. So I lost a tooth on this one, big deal. There, you can see these top ones here. They're starting to, they lose the tip of each ridge. And at least for me, that's how they start wearing out. And they still cut fine, they just take a bit more horsepower. And they start to sound a little bit funkier. And sometimes they break. So I've also tried 5 flute end mills like this. This has 1 broken flute, and that chatters like crazy. I've tried 4 flute variable helix like this one, and that chatters like crazy. And you can see how this one lost a tooth, and then lost another tooth, and then lost another tooth. It's lost all 4 teeth. So yeah, can't recommend Lakeshore Carbide highly enough. As you can see, I've got a big pile of goodies in here. I think this is like $600 or $700 in end mills. Gotta pay to play. Alright, what else can we talk about for this Handycam video? It's not going to be a lathe video because I've got other videos for the lathe. Yeah, so I'm just getting these blades ready by profiling them. And then after this, they go on to the Tormach surface grinder, where that's Eric's side of the garage. So the surface grinder over there, and then he surface grinds them nice and flat so that they are a nice surface. Because as nice as this surface looks, it's actually quite pitted once you get down to it. There, you can see the pits right there. And that kind of, that's not good on a finished knife. We need perfection. So this is a rough belt. I believe this is a 220 belt that he uses. So it leaves an okay finish. And this is still soft, and then it goes to machining. This actually is our new prototype knife, the Rask, which I have in my pocket. And then after machining and then heat treating, then Eric will surface grind it one more time with really fine micron belts, and it comes off mirror, like a mirror. Let's see if he's got some here. These are some really old blades. Number 120, this has been around for a long time. I forget what's wrong with it, but I mean, this finish is off the surface grinder. I can see myself. I can see the camera lens. That's my head. I mean, that Tormach surface grinder with the belt attachment is magic. I did not like the stone attachment, but I love it with belts. So yeah, I mean, this is completely Eric's baby. I never use it except for the odd quick and dirty thing. So I'm not actually that familiar with it. So this is a 120 belt. Maybe that's what he's using for the normal ones. And then got a micron belt in there right now. He's also got a leather belt. Interesting. As you can see, Eric's starting to organize his belt setup. Here's all the 1x42 belts. Oh yeah, he started using this one. Oops. This is a 3M Trizact A65. And that might be actually what's making those finishes. Whereas he usually uses something like this, which is a Blaze belt, I believe. I'm an endmill guy, not a belt guy, so forgive me if I'm not familiar with all this stuff. And these are the micron belts, and they're fantastic. They're super fine, like, feels like an emery cloth. One of these is 9 micron, and they last for a very long time. That's the good thing about having a rubber contact wheel in the surface grinder, is with a micron belt, you just give it a little bit of squish, and it squishes and polishes like crazy. So, very happy about that. Our tumbler. If you remember a couple weeks ago, must have been like a year ago at least, we had the shaft break, the drive shaft break on this tumbler, and I had to make a new one, and it's been working flawlessly ever since. So we really like this tumbler. Northern tool. Yeah, it works great. Alright, let's see, what else can I talk about? I feel like a lot of my videos lately have been just about machining stuff, and I want to do more videos about knife stuff while machining at the same time. But let's see what kind of knife stuff we can talk about. Another thing that we produce in-house is our bearings. We're kind of extremely well known for our bearings because we make these ourselves from large sheet of nylon. Nobody else makes these. Certainly nobody in the knife world makes their own bearings. Everybody buys them from Alpha Knife Supply or from a few other places that make the stainless steel ones. Let's see if I can find them in here. Yeah, these stainless steel ones. and they're okay, but ours are better. Except ours are extremely time consuming and extremely difficult to make, using very tiny tools. The way we're making them now, I mean, I've got a video from a couple of years ago that's still accurate. It's exactly how we make them now. It kicks up a lot of burrs, and the burrs have to be sanded out. We've got some 220 or 120 grit, 220 black ice sandpaper here on a granite plate. And basically, we've just got a little 4-disc thing. We put 4 of them in, sand it down, blow it out. Got a little drill bit in here just to clean up the inside of the holes, because there's always a little burr that kicks onto the inside. You got to clean out every single hole, sand it again, blow it out, make sure there's nothing inside. It's time consuming and it's annoying. And I would love to lower my standards and use an off-the-shelf bearing, but I can't let myself do that. So we're very tempted to hire like some 14-year-old kid to sand these bearings for us. We'll give him 1,000 of them or something. And we'll pay whatever, like, I don't know, a certain price per whatever. But I think Eric spends, I think he said 5 minutes per pair sanding them. And you just kind of sit here for an hour and you've only done, what's that, 20? Is my math right? 30. I don't know. Yeah, it's just time consuming. But it's worth it because they're freaking awesome and we get to make our own bearings and we're the only guys that do that. So that's cool. I have actually looked into having them 3D printed, and I've gone through several revisions of that, and I still can't get it perfect. I don't have my own printer. I'm having people do this for me. I've had them made on a MakerBot, not nearly good enough. I had them made on a B9 Creator Pro? I don't know. B9 Creator, and it was quite good. That's a resin printer, except the resin is super duper brittle, not going to work at all. And they came out pretty undersized, so the balls wouldn't go in, and when I tried to push the ball in, it cracked. Now keep in mind, those are not straight drilled holes. The 10 holes are on the outside. They are cupped on the inside so that they actually hold every ball bearing in place. Let's see if I have one. Yeah. So every ball bearing is completely held in place and not going to fall out, and they have to be pressed out with a little drill bit or something to get them out. But they do jiggle, and there's room in there. Because I need clearance for the ball to roll freely and for a little bit of lube to get around it and everything. And then I also spent a good amount of money to have them printed at a professional 3D printing place on a like $200,000 printer in nylon, and they still sucked. The quality was not there. The $5,000 B9 Creator hobby printer printed them better than this $200,000 printer. And I don't know if he just didn't care enough and didn't do the quality high enough or whatever, but there were little voids in it, there were bubbles, there were some walls caving in, and I mean, I like micro parts. I look at my parts under a loop just for the fun of it, because I have a very critical eye, and they were not good enough. And they cost me a lot of money, and it's wasted money, whatever. So, I don't know. I would like to get them 3D printed because in theory, it's awesome. And you can just print 1,000,000 of them. And they'll all be the same. And if I can get it in the right material, Delrin or nylon, that'd be awesome. In a perfect world, I need somebody with a B9 Creator Pro who can print with nylon and who's willing to work with me on the tolerances and test print a bunch of them and tweak the tolerances until they're perfect. So if anybody out there has that or knows about someone who does that, I'm all ears. I know there's websites like 3D Hubs, I think it's called. That's where I found this professional. Except the trick with that website is it's all local. So you have to have, you have to search by location first and then see who's in that location. And you can't just search who's got a B9 Creator in the world. Anyway, rambling. But yeah, Be cool to 3D print them. I'm also looking into getting my own injection molder to injection mold those bearings, which I think could work, but it could get tricky, and I just don't know. It sounds like a whole nother headache that maybe I don't need to deal with. Okay, one last thing about the bearings. Eric had an interesting concept in that the Tormach has 5,000 RPM, and it's using micro tools like a 39 thou undercutting ball mill to do those bearings. That's the kind of job that probably needs like 40,000 RPM to do, and he wondered if they were made with a higher RPM, if it would kick up the burr or if it would make them perfectly every time. And I don't know. Maybe the higher RPM is exactly the trick we need. I mean, I've seen guys hook up Dremels to the side of the Tormach. I've seen guys hook up air spindles. Tormach has a speeder that takes it up to 15,000, which would help. I use 3 tools to make those bearings. I could scale it down to 2 tools. But yeah, higher RPM might be the answer. I don't know. And then they'd be made faster too, which is always good, because they take a while to machine. I mean, I do a run of them with 48 pieces, I think, and it takes a couple hours. So, it takes time. Random shot. Here's just a bunch of knives that are on my desk to be set up and finished. And then they go off to Eric for anodizing and tumbling and sharpening and all that stuff. We are still using Alpha Knife Supply pivots, and I'm pretty happy with them. I'm very happy with them. They just take a lot of modification to get where I need them to be. So now that I have the fancy-pantsy Tormach lathe that I'm in love with, I'm going to try making my own from scratch. So it sounds easy, except I want to keep a ridiculous tolerance, which will be fun. I like tolerance. Even though it doesn't have a tripod mount, I can still put it on the shelf. So last thing, I guess I can reveal, officially we are moving to a new workshop. So this will be one of the last videos in this garage at my home right now. It'll be nice to have a little bit more space. Absolutely. This is about 400 square feet. We're moving to a shop that has 1,000 square feet. So it's not enormous, but it's still 2.5 times bigger than this. And this has 10 feet ceilings, the new one has 20 plus feet ceilings. And there's just so much more room, and it's bright, and it's air conditioned and heated, and has solid floors. This has a basement underneath, so I'm limited to what kind of weight I can put on it. And even running the tumbler and shaking the floor is terrifying me that this is going to cave in one day. So I mean, we've been making knives here for 4 years. I've been doing other business things in here for the past 7.5 years. And it's going to be interesting moving to a new shop. Absolutely. I'm used to working from home. I love working from home. I've got my kids just inside and I play with them all the time. And my wife is here and, we get along well. So it's nice being at home. But various reasons, we need a bigger shop. We're limited by what we can do in here, and we want to expand. We want to make more knives, and we want to have a lot more fun. And this will let me separate my work and my life a little bit better. So I think that'll be very good. I'm terrified of it, but I think it'll be good long term. So when I'm at work, I work. I can focus. I can do what I need to do for 6 or 8 hours straight, and then come home and be with my family. Guess I can give you guys a little rotary tour here. Shelving unit in the corner that's full of mostly stuff we don't use. It'll be nice to move because we are only taking what we need to make knives. I've been reading a lot about lean manufacturing and about 5S and all that stuff, and if you don't need it, it should not be in your face. You should not look at it. So it'll be interesting to move, for sure. I've got my tool chest here, which is maybe half full of stuff that I use. I'm starting to organize it. I need to do a video on this. I never did. Check this out. Alright, I'll do a video on that sometime soon. Maybe. I'll be busy with the move. But yeah, so Tormach here. Lathe over there. It's kind of a tight fit. Lathe computer. Door to inside the house. office chair, Scotch-Brite wheel, arbor press. We use this for straightening the blades and for pressing in detent balls. Granite surface plate, very nice for checking straightness of blades with a surface gauge, pretty sure that's what that's called, and a half-tenth dial test indicator. Here's our organizational shelf. We store our half-finished knives in here, and it works great because the knife fits and we can number each one, and it's good. Although we're getting into more of a rotation, so that we're making less knives at a time, but we're making them faster, as opposed to making 50 blades at a time, putting them all in there, and then making 50 handles. There's no cash flow in that. You want flow. You want to make so many knives every week so that you have so much income every week. None of this big batch stuff and you don't make any money for 3 months and then it's payday, but you've got back bills and future bills, and batch work is stupid. Look into it. Read up on it. It's stupid. It seems efficient, but it's not. So this is a mess. I mean, this is the shelving unit that came with the house. And I used to do a lot of car stuff, so this mostly still has car stuff. You can see the 2 jacks down in the corner. Eric uses this a little bit. So we've got all our cans there. He's got his ferric chloride and muriatic switched right there. Other than that, I mean, I've got car stuff in there. This is ultrasonic cleaner, some paper towels, a box of springs that came with the house. Every now and then I peek in there and need a spring, but it's kind of random. Random metal storage. These are all the blades and handles that did not work out. So they become, anodizing testing or whatever. I think there's like corded drills and angle grinders and stuff in there. I use these, I guess. Soldering, wiring, and everything else is scrap or car stuff. I don't use it. But it'll be interesting because I leave the car stuff here, and all the knife stuff, tool stuff, machine stuff goes to the new shop. So that'll be good. And then up in here, I mean, this is a mess. This is gross. Stacks of sandpaper, obviously you need that somewhere. This is just full of plastic bags that we've accumulated over the years. At least it's centralized. And then random gloves and masks and stuff. It's a mess. Manuals that we never look at. Box of random tire pressure gauge and pipe cutter and stuff like that. U-line catalog. Valve shims, I think they're called. Yeah, I forget what car stuff is. Box of electrical connectors, knife screws. I don't use that. I use this for all my detent balls, but I really only use 1 or 2 sizes of them. Eric says he uses this mini vise for the surface grinder and for some other stuff. I tend to buy a lot of these organizational shelves, like we've got some over here, but we don't actually use them as much as we think we're going to use them. They just sit in the corner. And then car battery charger, car light bulbs, stuff like that. This is going to be a long video. You guys love it. You love it. The same foam stuff that I used in my tool chest, Eric has used here. I haven't shown this yet? Man, we've had this for months. Anyway, so he's got his pliers here. I'll do a separate video on this because it's cool stuff, and I wanna show it off. But yeah, I mean, a lot of the stuff on the wall we don't use. A lot of that stuff, I mean, you need hammers and hacksaws and stuff, but you don't need to look at them. And it just looks like clutter and mess and whatever. Obviously, we're taking the grinder. Love that grinder. Eric wants more now. Can't blame him. Dust collector. We got this for the surface grinder. It's just loud as heck. I'm not super happy with it, but whatever. Yeah. So that was a quick and dirty shop tour of what's left. Air compressor. Dudes, we are getting a new air compressor. I have put my deposit down. It is just completely epic. I can't wait. You guys who know air compressors can probably guess what I'm getting. That's nothing compared to what I'm getting. Yeah. So I will not be sad to leave this here and have it be noisy and not have to live with that. So that's fun. And then we have a shelving unit in the corner that is full of stuff we never ever use. Yeah. I mean, this doesn't have to be right here. So yeah, that's the shop in a nutshell. I guess I didn't show the center thingy. Cheesy workbench that I built out of pear crates. I built this table out of it's a door on the top and some scrap wood I found in the backyard. And I had my very first lathe. If you watch way back in my old videos, my Grizzly Go602, I made that table for the lathe, and then I reclaimed it when I sold the lathe, and I got the Tormach lathe. And now I love it as a setup table, as my center table. So this will go in the center of our shop because it's a nice height. It's 38 inches tall, and it's on wheels, and we love it. And I've got my pallet storage underneath. The tub works pretty good for storing my pallets. I could roll it out. It's on a creeper, an automotive creeper. So that works good. Water storage, shop vac, dust deputy. Need those things. Another shelving unit that we don't use except for long-term, never touch it storage. And I mean, there's all kinds of weird car tires, and my bike's in the back. So much stuff we don't need that does not make knives. And the new shop will just make knives, or whatever other products we come up with in the future. Yeah, so I know you guys love these long videos, so here you go. It's total rant or random stuff, but yeah, I feel like I need to show you around now because let's see, today's Friday, we get the shop on Wednesday, possibly Tuesday of next week. So I don't know if I'm going to get a chance to film before then. So I'm glad I got to show you around. And yeah, I'm going to miss this place. I'm going to miss working here. I'm going to miss working from home and being able to come out in the middle of the night or first thing in the morning, 5 o'clock, and turn the mill on and run something all morning throughout breakfast and take my kids to school and then come back and it's still running. That's really fun, and I'm going to miss that. But in the new shop, we'll be able to schedule things. So maybe we can turn the machines on at night when we go home, and they can go for a long run and then just sit idle all night. Or maybe they're all set up the night before so that the first thing we do when we get there is we just turn the mill on, home it, and hit go. We're going to work on a lot of efficiency and changes and things just to get our flow going better so that hopefully we can keep some of the money we're making, not just keep spending it on stuff. Because when you're inefficient, your cash flow and everything is inefficient. So I mean, we make a high dollar product, but we don't keep a lot of those dollars. We definitely don't. We work very hard to not keep those dollars. It's silly. So anyway, yeah, this is going to be a huge change for us. As you'll see in the coming videos, there's a lot is going to be different. Anyway, I'll cut that off here. Hopefully that was interesting and not just boring, but if it was boring, you have this far. So congratulations for watching this far. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching and being a part of this. I mean, you watch me standing here in my garage just rambling about stuff, and it's nice. Anyway, until the next video, thanks guys, bye.